From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Our top story, as many of you already know, this week Flint Hills announced they would cease to process crude oil at the North Pole Refinery and place the blame primarily on the financial burden of groundwater contamination and the state's handling of the incident.
However, as the News Center's Nikki Carvajal explains, the company has been threatening to shut the refinery for over 8 years.
Well before sulfurylene contamination was discovered and found to be caused in part by Flint Hills, the North Pole Refinery was having financial troubles. In 2006, the owner of the state's largest crude oil refinery threatened to shut down unless they received a major financial concession from the state. They asked for a break that could have cost the state up to $100 million. Then in 2008, Flint Hills again requested assistance in the form of a price break for crude oil. Former Commissioner Tom Irwin said he was willing to negotiate, but asked the company to hand over their financial records. In March of 2009, before any testing had been done for sulfurylene contamination, the company shut down one of its 3 processing units. In turn, the Alaska Railroad laid off over 120 employees due to the drop in production. The company also said that the previous owners of the refinery, Williams, caused the contamination. The Department of Environmental Conservation says that both companies share the blame.
The contamination occurred over several years. We're aware of that, and both parties are most likely responsible in contributing to the contamination.
Flint Hills has also claimed in recent days that the state hasn't gone after Williams at all, but DEC disagrees.
We are pursuing other responsible parties, which would be Williams. In this case, we've approached Williams and requested them several times to assist in covering some of the costs associated with figuring out how to solve this problem. So that's not true to say that we haven't done that.
The company also stated that they had uncertainties over future cleanup responsibilities. Today, Flint Hills declined to comment any more on the closure, but last month at a DEC open house for sulfurylene response, company officials stated that they were committed to making sure the contamination was cleaned up.
We're in it for the long haul. We're going to protect the people who are impacted and make sure they have safe, clean water.
Nikki Carvajal, News Center 11.
A sudden rate hike in postal prices by the United States Postal Service increased shipping rates to rural communities in Alaska late last month. Some costs went up by roughly 50%, especially those sending heavy parcel posts. Senator Mark Begich demanded a meeting with the USPS Postmaster General today to address the many Postal Service problems that are faced here in Alaska. Begich said today he introduced a bill that would bring the rates back down by rolling them back over a period of roughly 5 days. He says he also addressed the importance of rural post offices to those who live in the areas and rely on shipments from USPS. Now, we will have more on the postal rate hikes and how the bill will help to bring them down on Saturday during the evening news and News Center Final.
Representative Tammy Wilson wants to eliminate the local contribution form boroughs for education funding. The House Education Committee heard the first reading of the bill sponsored by Wilson on Wednesday. She says it's unconstitutional that organized boroughs must provide tax revenue to local schools. Homer Representative Paul Seaton says without local contributions, the state may be forced to cut important school programs. Wilson says it goes against promises made by the state.
Is that the Constitution says it's a responsibility of the state, not a responsibility of the state when they have extra funding, not the responsibility of the state when they want to. It's a responsibility of the state because it was a promise to boroughs. And the state at one point said, well, guess what, guys? We don't have enough money. And so we're going to point to you because you're the easiest mark to fill that portion that we don't want to.
Heart disease is the #1 killer of women, killing more women than all forms of cancer combined. Most women don't notice the symptoms of heart disease until it's too late, which is why heart disease has been called the silent killer. Tomorrow, nationwide, is National Wear Red Day, where everyone is asked to wear a red piece of clothing to help raise awareness of heart disease. Locally, the wheels are in motion, preparing for next week when the Carlson Center will become the focal point for a Go Red convention that will include seminars, testimonials, and a mammoth luncheon featuring a former TV celebrity who has suffered a stroke from heart disease.
And it's kind of a silent killer, so it will sneak up on people. And so we want to talk about that, and we encourage them to lead healthy lifestyles. And on Friday the 7th, we encourage them to wear red so that people are talking about it and talking about the steps that they can do to reduce their exposure to heart disease.
All right, when we come back, we have a look at an author who homesteaded in Fairbanks in the 1940s. That's Interiortainment.
Also, it's time to hop back into the kitchen with Lisa Gambardella to learn some more recipes.
Ooh.
Stay with us.
And welcome back to the Fairbanks Evening News. A lifelong Fairbanksan has published 2 novels about his time homesteading what is now the city of Fairbanks. He penned both novels by hand, and with help from his family, both books are now in stores. We take a look into the history of his books, and that's Interiortainment. Richard Coleman was born in 1941 at St. Joseph's Hospital. Coleman helped his father to homestead the land that now hosts Jillian Square Apartments and has built a history here in Fairbanks. That includes attending a school at what is now the City Hall, his kindergarten teacher, Ann Ween. He said after telling his stories over and over, it was time to write them down.
My story about growing up in Fairbanks, and a neighbor lady encouraged me to write because every day I was telling her a different story about the way we used to do things back on the homestead, and one day she just told me, "You need to write this stuff down."
The times were much different on the homestead in Fairbanks back then. In fact, Coleman says his old log cabin was taken apart log by log. He now looks for it as a piece of history.
We didn't have electricity, we didn't have running water, there was no TV, no telephones, it was an outhouse.
After his story, The Homestead Kid, was finished, he had another story in mind.
Finished my first book, and of course that's my story, and so when I'd finished that one, I was all encouraged about writing, I guess, and so I'm thinking, well, the story that really needs to be told is my wife's story.
The Homestead Kid and Two Worlds Trail can be picked up at Gulliver's Books, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and even at the store in Pleasant Valley. But that's not all for these books. A film company in Anchorage is looking to make a film out of Two Worlds Trail, something Coleman says
that would be a biggie.
At the end of the day, it's about sharing his story with the community.
It's being reviewed for the Battle of the Books, which is a competition in the school system and statewide.
I'm Stephanie Woodard, and that's Interiortainment, brought to you by the Finish Line Restaurant and Lounge.
For more than 20 years, every February, the Literacy Council of Alaska, along with the Daily News Miner, have produced a fun event that has generated more than $400,000 in donations to help others learn to read. The Bisbee competition is made up of 20 teams of 3 individuals, combining to use their spelling skills to outlast each other into the late evening hours. The event is open to the public and also features a silent auction along with other unique fun things through the night. Besides raising funds for the agency, which works with all ages at becoming better educated, the event fosters a good relationship between the community and the Literacy Council of Alaska.
It is pretty wild. I mean, in terms of, fun for nerds. I mean, it may not be everybody's favorite cup of tea, but for those of us that enjoy words and reading and books, it's just a great time. We got great costumes, and it's just a great time for all the businesses of Fairbanks to come out and support the Literacy Council, and for the News Miner sponsoring it again. It's just a great thing for us.
Now, Mike says they can still use some more teams, so if you have a business that has 3 top-notch spellers, call the Literacy Council at 456-6212.
Tonight we go back into the kitchen with Lisa Gambardella as she shows us how to cook up a mean lobster ravioli. Take a look.
Buonasera. Welcome to Fairbanks Flavor. I'm Lisa Gambardella, and I'm at my kitchen downtown at Gambardella's Pasta Bella in Fairbanks. Today we're making a very complex sauce, and it's got a lot of Pacific Rim influences in there. We're starting with some garlic, shallot, celery, carrots, and fresh tomatoes. Let that get a little bit toasty, and we're going to put in some tomato paste. Now this is a little bit interesting. We're going to deglaze with some brandy. Ooh, let that incorporate a little bit. It's going to give the sauce a nice color. We're going to put in some fresh ginger, some thyme, which is a lot like oregano. And now, to give the sauce some body, let's throw in some butter and flour. That needs to cook for about 5 minutes. We're going to expedite it for the show. If you make it at home, set aside at least an hour for this. So once that roux is cooked down, we're going to splash some white wine in there. Woo! Makes everything delicious when you cook with wine. And we've got some fish stock with some lobster base in it. Now this needs to reduce for about an hour. So we've gone ahead and got you a nice reduced sauce here. Let me show you the finished product. We put in some coconut milk. Very different flavors. Really lends itself well to a pasta though. And now we're just about ready to plate. Look at that beautiful color. That is going to be fantastic with our lobster ravioli over fresh spinach. And now you've got a beautiful light dish ready for dinner. Enjoy. Buonasera. See all our recipes at webcenter11.com.
Brought to you by Gambardello's Pasta Bella.
Well, isn't this a pleasant surprise? We actually get the company of Joe on the desk with us.
Yes, been very busy, but you know, they've been busy up on the hill as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the Natick Rifle team, they tried to finish the season undefeated today, but they faced the top team in the nation. We'll have the result and a look at a local high school coach getting some national attention. Stick around for sports. Hello, Interior Alaska. Time for some Thursday sports where there's a first time for everything. Today, the number 3 Natick Rifle team went up against number 1 West Virginia in the regular season finale. Loss of the year, Alaska won small bore by 3, but the Mountaineers won air rifle by 32 to win the match. Marin Prodiger's 597 was a match high in air for West Virginia. The Mountaineers took the top 4 spots in air and spots 2 and 3 in small bore. Laura Lee Stanfield had a match best 587 in small bore for UAF. West Virginia finishes 9-0 and 6-0 in the GARC. Alaska finishes 9-1 and 3-0 in the Patriot Rifle Conference. Alaska now goes to Ohio State for the PRC Championships. They'll shoot small bore on Saturday and air rifle on Sunday. A couple of Natick hockey players can be proud of some recent achievements this week. They're on the bye. Alaska's Colton Parayko was named WCHA Defensive Player of the Week this week for his 3 points and +2 rating in the Natick sweep of Alabama Huntsville Chargers. It's his second honor from the conference this year. Teammate senior Cody Kunick was named Era Alaska Natick of the Week for his 5-point weekend against the Chargers. 2 goals and 3 assists. Those points moved the Hobie Baker Memorial Award nominee up to 17th all-time on the Alaska scoring list. Kunick is currently the second leading scorer in the WCHA with 31 points. The Nooks return to the ice at Michigan Tech on Valentine's Day weekend. Last night at Hutchinson High School, the Hawks had an NBA-like back-to-back schedule. They hosted North Pole on Tuesday and then faced Effie Cochran last night. The Warriors are no slouch, though. They came in with a 10-1 record, but Hutch got in transition early and led by Michael Benson. He had 16 points, 13 in the first half to lead Hutchinson. And how about the passing from Emmanuel Pacheco? He had 9 assists, finding Benson and Anthony Peter here, who had 18 points in the first half. He finished with 20. Xavier Chukwuemeka, that's his middle name, with the 3 as well. The Hawks were up 46-26 at the break, but Effie rallied behind Josh Fisher. He had a game-high 29 points. They bring a 20-point deficit down to 8, but they will get no closer than that in the second half as Hutchinson stops a 5-game losing streak with a 72-59 win over the Warriors.
Coach really lets us just let the ball rip, and as long as we don't throw turnovers, she's very okay with not fancy passes but efficient passes. And so our game plan is really run the floor, and I don't know, I've always had a knack for just finding the open guy, and I've been playing with the same guy since I was a little kid, so it gets easy after a while, I guess.
It's pretty big. It's hopefully going to get us out of this slump and get us back on the road. We've been playing a lot of not good basketball, I guess, and we're finally playing our own game, playing how we play in the gym and at practice.
In the Diamond Lady Lynx tournament in Anchorage, 3 interior girls teams had their openers yesterday. North Pole was overwhelmed by undefeated Sohai, 63-5 the final there. They were shut out in the entire second half. Lathrop lost to host Diamond 70-26. Mackenzie Warner had 8 points for Lathrop. West Valley was the only interior team to win. They defeated Colony 61-42 behind Ruthie Heber's 29 points and 20 rebounds, 20-20 game from her. Allison alumni and former Alaska Natick assistant coach Frank Ostanet, who was the head coach at Monroe, is getting recognition on the national stage. He is a finalist in USA Today's High School Sports Best Boys Basketball Coach competition. The winner receives $2,000 for their program. He won the regional round with over 87,000 votes thanks to the interior. Coach O, as his teams call him, has 117 wins and 31 losses with Monroe, 3 straight Aurora Conference titles, and consecutive 3A state titles. Ostanek is in the finals, and he still needs votes. Go to webster11.com for the USA Today link to vote. The voting ends tomorrow at 11 a.m. Alaska time, so you have time tonight and in the morning to get some votes in. Ostanek talked about the support he's received so far.
I was excited because I knew how much energy and time so many of the kids and their families had put into it. I thought, man, it would be unfortunate to lose after all the time that so many people put into it. I was relieved to see that we, because I look at it like it's a victory, not for me, but for our school and our community more than anything else.
And now here are today's standings in the 2014 Yukon Quest. Brent Sass is still your leader, followed by Neff, Cody Straith, and rookie Matt Hall. All the top 5 have reached Dawson, but Sass, Moore, and Neff are back on the trail. Before all the others, they're headed for the Scroggy Creek Dog Drop and Pelly Crossing checkpoint. That's the next checkpoint. They left early this afternoon. The Mushrooms will be facing more hills and icier conditions on the Canadian side of the trail. And that'll do it for sports tonight. Thanks for rocking with me for a little while. Your full weather forecast is next, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey, welcome back, everyone, to the Fairbanks Evening News. Mike Schultz with you once again, taking a look at the weather and wearing my Arctic Winter gear for the Arctic Winter Games that will be coming up in March. Just a reminder that every Friday they'd like you to wear your Arctic Winter gear also. If you missed it this morning between 8 and about 10 o'clock, we had an incredible snowstorm. We'll have more video for you at the end of the newscast, so stick around for that. And we'll talk more weather just a little bit. Here's our photograph for today. This one's sent in by Jamie Schlosser. Moose and a sunrise, a great photograph. Again, beautiful colors there, and a nice shot of the moose too. And again, as always, if you have a photograph to share, send it to photos@ktvf11.com. What's going on as far as numbers go? Our normal high is 5 above. Today's high 19. The overnight low 10 degrees compared to an overnight low normally of 15 below. Record high 40 in 1935, 1968 down to 52 below. And the sunrise and sunset 7 hours and 39 minutes of daylight. On our picture today, as you can see, we're looking at clear skies over southeast Alaska once again. The storm system that moved through us is starting to move into the Gulf of Alaska, bringing a lot of snow to the Kodiak region. And as elsewhere, you can see mainly cloudy skies elsewhere, some snow around the Fort Yukon area. On the satellite picture, there's the area of low pressure that dropped rapidly down from the north, an unusual direction, and that helped to combine with all that glaze we were having last night to produce the snowfall. In the lower 48, quite a bit to talk about too there. Another storm system, this one moving all the way down into Southern California, bringing much needed rain there. And the storm system we looked at yesterday moving rapidly up the eastern seaboard, and another one expected to develop. On the jet stream, again, the west to east flow will be very, very prominent, helping to develop more storms and snow across the Great Lakes. And down to the south, things look pretty good, but more rain expected over California, and that will help the drought situation there. Lower 48 weather out of the way, talking about Alaska now for tomorrow. Mostly cloudy skies at Barrow, mostly sunny skies at Nome, and flurries expected in the Fort Yukon area. Also windy conditions there too. Skies becoming partly cloudy at Healy, Delta Junction, and Fairbanks tomorrow, with the winds at the higher elevations, again a problem. Over southeast Alaska, lots of sunshine expected for Juneau and Ketchikan. While over to the southwest, we're looking at periods of snow for Kodiak, snow showers at Cold Bay, and sunny skies at Bethel. And if you head on down the Anchorage Bowl, it looks like mostly cloudy skies for Anchorage and Valdez, with snow likely at Homer. Okay, time once again for our kids' weather, and all this week talking with the kids from Nordale Elementary School. But tonight, here's the teacher with a weather fact.
Hello, I'm Miss Craig, and this is my 4th and 5th grade class here at Nordale Elementary, and we have a weather fact to share with you. Class, did you know that the windiest place on Earth is Commonwealth Bay, Antarctica? For more than 100 days a year, the wind blows close to 200 miles an hour.
And next week we'll visit with the kids from North Pole Elementary School. Real quickly, looking at our road conditions for tonight. And roads are impassable from milepost 101 to 114 on the Steese Highway. Keep that in mind. Otherwise, the rest of the roads are looking at snowpack conditions and higher winds at the higher elevations too. All right, our forecast for the remainder of the night: 8 degrees below zero, cloudy skies, scattered snow showers. Tomorrow's forecast looking at partly cloudy skies and 7 degrees, and the extended forecast calling for the cold air to return once again. As you can see, overnight lows dropping down to close to 30 below in some places. And daytime highs will also cool off quite a bit, but not too uncomfortable. Just as long as we have that daylight, we keep ourselves from getting too cold. But overnight lows, like I said, are going to be downright chilly.
Well, thank you, Mike.
All right, and that is all. We've run out of time. So from all of us here at the News Center, we hope you have a great night. See you at 11.
Good night.